name is Aoife Dean and welcome to the Happy Weight podcast. Thanks so much for joining me. I am filming this on a Friday. I do not know why I'm doing that because the traffic on Fridays here it's actually really funny. You can tell that people have the Friday feeling because people have their tunes on loud and like I'll be on calls or like, and I'd be looking out and you can see people bopping in their car and windows down and tunes going. And I think it's because the Heineken road, the big main road is just around the corner that takes you to Clare and Limerick and Galway. And I think people are heading home or heading away for the weekends and just have that Friday feeling. But anyway, today, right, I want to talk about when you're about to overeat or when you're like in that frame of mind, right? Like, it feels like a pressure valve building up and something's gonna go. You know what I mean? Like you're in it, there's no way out. It's kind of like jumping out of a plane without a parachute. You kind of feel you can't even talk yourself out of it. So like that real pre-binge, pre-overeating stage. I just got reminded of it again by a client call that I had yesterday. And this woman had been doing really well, but like fear was kind of creeping up. And this is the thing about a pressure valve, right? Like, the binge is just the pressure valve getting to a point and us being like, screw it, eat whatever, nothing matters. There's 3 things we're going to be changing as we're getting out of eating and weight issues. First of all is that you notice the pressure valve increasing. You notice your stress increasing. You notice your negative emotions increasing. You notice that inner emotional environment not in a good place and seemingly getting to a worse place. So we catch that earlier. Then the next thing we're always changing in eating and weight issues is when we're in the depths of the badness, the unconscious eating, the fear thoughts, the what's going on in our brain when we're in a bad place with our eating and weight, that we make that less severe, and then also our recovery time needs to be sharp. So whether we ate the most amount of food we have ever eaten in our life yesterday, we need to be like, brush it off and go again. Like I was just talking to a client there and I was like, we need to think like our body thinks, right? Because your body is like, process done, sorted, next. Process done, sorted, next. Whereas the way your mind works is like, did you really need that second dessert the other night? And it's like, why are you still on about 4 nights ago? Like I said, we need to think like our body now because it's our body we want results for, basically. But this woman anyway, this client, she had like mounting fear and we had a gap in calls. We had maybe 2-3 weeks between our calls. And she basically told me a story about the other night. She was coming home from work. She could feel that kind of like need to like binge or overeat really like building up, basically. She was going to the supermarket and she was like, you were going to go into that supermarket, you were going to not look at the bad foods, you're going to not look at the bad aisle, you were going to go in, you're going to get your chicken, you're going to get your vegetables, you're going to get your dinner stuff, and you're going to walk out of there and you're not going to look at those things, you're not going to think of those things. So she was telling me the story and I was kind of like, okay, right, so much to say on this already. But she succeeded there, or so she thought. So she left the supermarket, she did just have her food shopping, she didn't have a load of junk or binge food. But then when she came home, she just emptied the presses and just like whatever was around. And like I have such a different viewpoint of that now because I just kind of think we're really not helping ourselves emotionally or physically, just in terms of, again, thinking of people who don't have weight issues. Like people without weight issues, if they wanted some chocolate, they would pick the nicest chocolate, they would have the nicest chocolate. And I just kind of think it's extra misery to, like in my binges sometimes, just because I'd refuse to buy nice things or get nice things when I needed them, sometimes my binges were like toast or Rivita and jam or rice cakes and honey or Muller light yogurts, because I was so restrictive and I didn't have bad things in the house that then your binge is on them. And I'm like, well, that's absolute cruelty because, there isn't the pleasure and the dopamine in those foods. You feel rotten because you've overeaten, but also you didn't get any chocolate enjoyment or any sweets enjoyment or any crisps enjoyment because there was nothing in that. There was none of that in your binge. She came home, she ate all the crappy things, and her mind was going mad during it. Her mind was going mad after it. So what I want to do is, with that instance, like, let's break it down. This in a way is not, like, I suppose it links back to science and it links back to research. You know, I know that now from doing my master's and doing my dissertation in disordered eating and weight issues. I know how a lot of the things that I do with clients link back to studies and stuff like that. But ultimately what I'm talking about here is my own experience of overcoming these issues. There's a mix of compassion and strictness. In disordered eating, we don't have any compassion. There's no kind of allowance for, well, you were going through grief, or you were homesick, or you were in a job you hated. Understandably, you ate a little bit more, and understandably, that's why you have a bit more weight on you now. Just very logical, practical, human, compassionate about it. So we tend to miss out on that reflection when we're in a bad place with our eating and weight. And we just put it all down to us being a failure, and the weight gain being a failure, the overeating being a failure. So we really want to shift that to compassion. We want to shift that to, I've always done my best that I could at the time with the information I had, you know, and we have to make peace with the past. And the more we actually make peace with the weight gain, the more we can lose it. And I see that all the time because whenever I work with male clients, a larger proportion of them are not emotional eaters. So they will be like, shit happened, I gained weight, now I'm here to lose it. That's it. No hang-ups, no guilt, no shame, no failure feelings, and the weight just falls off of them. So we want that compassion now, but we still need strictness. And before, I think our strictness was on foods, and now our strictness needs to be on our bullshit. So how I'm going to be talking today, right, might sound a little bit harsh, but you might relate to what I'm saying, right? Because where I was coming from is I had struggled with eating and weight issues for the bones of 20 years. I was not a weight I wanted to be. I had an absolutely frenzied relationship with food. And all of that was because I was like a puppet to the thoughts that I think. So, you know, like my thoughts would be like, eat nothing now and whatever. Well, no, it would never say that actually. It would say, eat everything now and then be good tomorrow. And I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'll just eat everything now and go to bed horribly sick and full, and then I won't eat tomorrow. And then, you know, say if I was eating something, then an hour later, my mind would be like, God, you're such a failure, aren't you? Like, how did you eat all that? Like, God, have some self-control. What's wrong with you? Considering I was really fed up of that, I was going to be strict with my thoughts. So in some of the things I say here now, please don't think that I'm talking to you. It just worked for me to call bullshit on those thoughts that I no longer needed, right? The main thing is my client was like, you know, so then I had 1 chocolate bar, 2 chocolate bars, 3 chocolate bars, 4 chocolate bars, whatever she had. So maybe she did have stuff in the house, actually. I don't know. I was like, I know there was judgment there. I know after maybe even in bar 1, you were saying, I shouldn't be eating this chocolate bar. And you were maybe even thinking, God, and you know what would be so much worse is if I had a second one. And then you were eating the second one and you were telling yourself, geez, I definitely shouldn't be eating this. And then before you knew it, you were into a third. And then we're like, oh, well, now I've really done it. This is so awful. And, you know, into the third and the fourth. So I don't think there's binging without judgment. That's all living in your head when eating is going on. We have to remind ourselves that eating is a sensory experience. It's how it tastes and how it feels, and we're not seeing any of that. So when we're up in our head, we're just in the drama. One of the ways that I interjected, it was mainly being very sarcastic and bitchy and cheeky back to my thoughts. Say when we're at the point where like, oh my God, you've just eaten 3 bars and now you're going to open a 4th and whatever. It's kind of like, first of all, like how I would have talked to myself when I was getting out of this, it's like, get over yourself. So freaking what? You're eating 2 or 3 chocolate bars. So what? This means you'll never lose weight. this means that you're gonna get obese or stay obese forever. Like, no one else is eating 3 or 4 chocolate bars tonight. Like, you really think it's so extreme and so separate and such a dramatic thing. So that's the first bollocking I'd give myself. The second one is stop being so entitled and ungrateful. Like, this is gorgeous food that is literally designed for pleasure. And here you are wasting it. Like, as in, say if we're eating chocolate and all we're doing is like, oh my God, I should be eating this. This is making me so fat. Oh my God, what's wrong with me? I'm so broken. Oh geez, I have a food addiction. What's wrong with me? It's like, that chocolate could have been given to someone else. Like, you might be living with someone, you might have a friend, a work colleague, a partner who is willing to eat chocolate and be eating it in a positive, grateful way that adds to their day. So the thing is, if you're going to waste this chocolate, just don't bother. Like, as in, eat it with positivity and gratitude, or don't eat it. Yet again, that's how I would speak to myself. I'm not saying that to you necessarily, but also calling your own bluff. You know, so it's like, what do you want here? You want some chocolate, is it? Okay, cool. Let's have some chocolate and enjoy it. No problem. But again, what are you doing here? Like, what is the benefit of eating it and not enjoying it? Make sure to check out my website, happyweight.ie. There you'll find out all the information about working one-to-one with me. If you're finding this podcast resonates with you, don't forget to give it 5 stars on Spotify or follow me on YouTube. Thank you so much. Then I suppose, right, catching it earlier, another thing earlier that I think would have been really helpful for this girl is when she was going into the supermarket, like, resistance is the enemy, basically, right? So when you're like, don't buy the thing, don't eat the thing, don't look at the thing, you're like, resist, restrict. Whenever that is going on, it's like, nope. You have to face the dragon. You have to do the polar opposite. You have to, like, coach yourself or be a parent to yourself and be like, what is it, pet? What is it? You want chocolate, is it? You want crisps, is it? That you'd rather have some junky yummy food than your dinner this evening, is it? Okay, cool. Or you'd like to go back to that feeling of a full or very full belly from, you know, junky yummy stuff. Cool, let's do that. Great. There's a time and a place for everything. There's a time and a place for every food. Sure, you can imagine everyone probably does that from time to time. And you can imagine there's a lot of skinny people, there's a lot of slim people, there's a lot of people of every size who sometimes will want ice cream or chocolate or crisps for their dinner. And there's absolutely no problem. If that seems to be the way things are going, why don't we just enjoy it? Why don't we make a positive memory out of this? Say, for instance, if basically there's not going to be a lot of fiber, water, nutrients, or, you know, it's not going to be the most life-giving supper we've ever had. Since it's such a novelty, since it's not our usual kind of meals, let's enjoy it. Let's make it a positive, because what an absolute waste of a lacking in nutrition meal. And, you know, our body does, of course, have to work a little bit harder if there's more sugar or fat or whatever in a processed food. It's not nothing for our body. Let's make it really as positive as we can. And calling it out is always better than resisting. Because if you're kind of like, no, I don't need processed stuff. I don't need any chocolate. I don't need any crisps. I don't need it. You are going to have a zillion of them. You're going to have so many of them. Whereas if you're kind of like, what is it that you want? Oh, you want ice cream, okay? Which ice cream? And how would you have that? And when would you have it? And do you want like 60% of your belly being dinner and 40% ice cream? Or tonight, are you in the mood for 80% of your belly being full of ice cream and 20% being full of, like, you know, a ham and cheese toasty or something? Like, what percentage of your belly space would you like to fill with yummy stuff? And there's no wrong answer. We want to eat with love now. That's another basic of what I'm saying here. If we're going to be eating, we're going to be eating with love. So it's like, okay, great. Tonight it's going to be kind of almost 10-year-old sleepover kind of supper. Like, it's going to be yummy bits and pieces. Great. And then you can jump in and be really discerning. Like, if you're getting takeaway, which exact sauce, which exact, like, even say portions, you might want less chip, more burger, or whatever it might be. Face the music. When you honor your needs, then you can be discerning with food. And that is also more of a trait that someone without eating and weight issues would have. Whereas when you resist and deny and you pretend you don't need it, then it's just going to catch you on the hop, and then you're just eating any old crap that's around, and it's not necessarily the nicest tasting thing. Like, I remember, like, I'd always catch myself out like that, because it's like the original need was maybe chocolate, but then all I had in the house was kind of salty. And then you're just like, that itch isn't scratched yet, but you're still super full up and you're still post binge and you still feel mank, but like the itch wasn't even scratched. So that's, again, just more irritating. So instead, face the music, call it what it is, and just be like, what exact foods do you need? How would you like to feel after it? Let's do this. And if we're going to do it, let's do it well. If these foods are slightly less healthy than other foods, let's maximize the experience and get as much goodness out of them as we can, like from a memory point of view, from an emotional point of view. And the thing is, when we're aware of our eating, we're going to be getting more dopamine and enjoyment and everything from the food anyways. And ultimately, that is kind of why we binge or we overeat. We're trying to regulate something in our brain, or we're trying to receive more comfort. And that's the other waste. Like, if you binge 3,000 calories and then you missed it because you were in your head being like, how fat is this making me? You know, now I'm not going to lose weight. Now I'm going to be bigger by Christmas, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you missed it. You didn't even get your dopamine. Like, what was even the point? So we don't want to miss those opportunities anymore. Another one I would have done in that frenzied, oh no, will I, won't I? Am I going to eat it? Am I not going to do it? Is another way of, I suppose, facing the dragon and calling it out, is kind of what I used to call for myself, narrating the binge. So you're kind of like, oh, so getting a takeaway would be the best thing ever, would it? Oh my God. And then you'd go to bed feeling brilliant, would you? And it would solve all your problems. Oh geez, yeah, you'd have no work stress then. That would completely undo the fight you had with your partner or whatever. Like, really be as sarcastic and, because, that's part of restriction. Part of restriction is, I'm not allowed to have it. But wouldn't it be glorious if I did? And aren't people who are allowed to have it, aren't they so lucky? And now it's like, no, like, as in, yeah, it couldn't be nice tasting and you could feel nice after it, but is it going to change your life? I doubt it. So I remember doing that with biscuits one day, and it was like I had hobnobs or something. And I was just kind of like, I just basically called out that dramatic bullshit going on in my head. And it's like, oh, eating the pack would be amazing, would it? Would it be really great? Because that even knocks you out of the mental story. And then it gives you an opportunity to be like, yeah, actually, is this tasting nice? Is this helping me feel emotionally better? Because if it is, rock on. If it isn't, what's the point? And belly-wise, as in, is your belly feeling more lovely? Is it feeling more lovely? So I suppose that's the benefit of narrating the binge and being like, oh, because it's going to be so great, is it? It gives you an opportunity to be like, is it? The last kind of interjection I would say that we make, we're being super compassionate on everything, but we're being really strict on other things, because depending on how much this has cost you, depending on how much a weight problem has cost you, not being at a weight you want to be, not having a nice relationship with food, I think being bloody angry is appropriate sometimes, and therefore being strict with our thoughts is appropriate as well. So what I used to do is, when I fell for that bullshit, because it is bullshit to be like, oh no, you're eating all the things and you're going to get so overweight and it's so extreme. It's like, you are not extreme eating processed foods. You are one of millions of people tonight around the world eating processed foods. So, for all that drama and everything, we want to now be like, I used to basically have a bit of a punishment for myself. And that was, you have to eat that exact food that you binged or you restricted or you made this like over the top dramatic story about. You have to eat that for breakfast. Because sometimes when we're binging, we're like, oh no, not the second chocolate bar. You're not going to open the second chocolate bar, are you? And then we eat the second one. And then of course we're like, oh no, but not the third one, are you? So it's like like, that's all scarcity thinking. We're kind of creating a sense of scarcity that they're going away, but just one more before it goes away, just one more before it goes away. So now we want to call BS as well to the idea that it's going away. And it's like, here's what you get for lying about it going away. Because whatever about food's going away, processed foods are for sure not going away. So instead, it's like, you are having that for breakfast. You were having that for breakfast. You're potentially having it for lunch. You're potentially having it after lunch or for dinner or something, because you were lying. You were lying, basically. You were pretending there's a scarcity around chocolate and crisps, and there is not. And one of the most important parts of getting over a weight problem is realizing there is always nicer calories around the corner. Chocolate is going nowhere. Crisps are going nowhere. So why are we using them to feel gross when we could be using them to feel well like everyone else? So that's the slap on the wrist we have to give ourselves, is you said this was going away, and you said you were overeating this because you had to, because it was going away. So your punishment for lying is, here it is again, not going away. This food is not going away. We want to be aware of how this all began at the start, right? So especially that client, right? She was really in a good place. So what happened? She started entertaining fear. She started entertaining visualizing herself losing it all. She started kind of going back to the old story of, I'm always good for a while and then I lose it. And this is hard stuff, right? Because basically, if you want to get out of a weight problem, that would mean you'd have to be wrong about the entire last 20 years. So all the stuff that you told yourself about your metabolism, your childhood, your medications, your personality type, your addictive personality, if you want to be a healthy weight, you'd actually have to prove yourself wrong about all of those stories. So that can be really hard, because our brain works harder to be right than to be happy. And I remember this myself. I remember breaking diets and being like, this feels like home, kind of like, that diet is over. I'm in the little window of overeating whatever the hell I want now and taking no accountability before I come up with some amazing solution that will undo all of this, and therefore I don't need to be accountable about this because some plan in the future will undo it all. Like, I remember that sweet spot. So for me, there was a long time where that being like, okay, this feels familiar, but this is why change is uncomfortable, because we have to get out of those familiar thought habits. So we have to challenge ourselves on all that thinking. And I suppose the alternative is, if you have access to the Happy Hypno Weight, if you have access to the one-to-one client resources, is the affirmations that you are also an amazing person at growing and learning, and you are capable of change. And there's stuff that you didn't figure out a few years ago that you have since figured out. So this is figure outable, as Marie Forleo would say. So that you can tweak, you can pivot, you know what feels comfortable, what doesn't. You can learn, you can grow. You like feeling slim, you like feeling fit, you like feeling healthy, you like feeling strong. So you have everything you need on your side. Like, that's all cool. The other thing I said to that client was, fear is like darkness. Like, if the room is dark, you don't fight it, you don't say it shouldn't be here, you just put on more lights. So her main homework, and we actually done it before the end of a call, was all the light, like bringing in lightness again to the situation. So rather than visualizing how it was all going wrong and it was typical her, whatever, visualizing how the best sailors learn on the roughest seas, and these hard points could be the making of her. Like, these final challenges could get her to a place with eating and weight that she's never been to before, and could get her to happy ever after with her eating and weight. And I really believe that is true, that we level up, we get over obstacles, and depending on how we deal with each one, we're getting closer and closer to our goal. So it's more affirmations, more positive thinking, and more being really grateful. Even if you're not into affirmations, just being really grateful, like forcing your brain to think of all the positive choices you made with food and exercise this week, all the positive choices you made with self-care, and don't entertain the fear. So I hope today's episode was helpful, and please subscribe, like, give it reviews, do whatever you can. And thanks so much for being here, and I hope you join me next week. Thank you.